most of so far I've been able to produce some nice modules and modules with lots of plants in that have grown really well. Have produced nice uniform seedlings, but occasionally you get a tray like this. The parsley hasn't come up, the half the coriander hasn't come up, the celery hasn't come up. I have got other, but whereas these are the remainders, so that's another batch of celery which was done at the same time in a little pot, put somewhere else in the house, which has produced a lot of seeds. These are the remainders. So these are the ones I've got left over. I've already potted up the rest of them. So as you can see, bit of not doing very well at all. So what we're going to do is rejuvenate. So this is a waste of time having a windowsill full of half-empty modules. So we're going to rejuvenate this. Take what's struck. Put this into its own little pot somewhere, and we can put that in a nook and corner somewhere so that we can have more efficient use of both the module, the greenhouse, and inside the house. I've got a 12-bit module, 12 module seed tray. Just ordinary multi-purpose. Let's get that coriander. What's made it into the I normally do 3 or 4 seedlings of this type in one module. I might put more if I'm doing seeding, put more in because I might not trust the seed, it might be old or whatever. I don't really I don't really want these. I have already potted up. These are the remainder of my Celtuses. I've already potted up a load already, but you know what will happen, half of them will die, so I do want some reserves. So I'll keep this little pot. That's dead. Keep this little pot just in case. Put it in a nook and cranny somewhere. So Celtuses are stem lettuces, so they're grown for the stem, not the. It's a Chinese delicacy. Well, vegetable. So I wanted to show you this before I headed off to the allotment. This is a chilli. Why has it got green leaves in January? Because I took it indoors. It's only going to be briefly left out here. I'm going to take it straight back in again. I just brought it out to show you. And it's Rocoto chilli, and it was reputed to be hardier than other chilies, and as you can see, that's correct. But if you actually if it was outdoors and you had a frost, it would die. I've got a friend an acquaintance who left it in a cold greenhouse with the door open next to the door, and it still survived perfectly well. So it's a good chili. It's a perennial. Well, most chilies are perennials, but as you can see, this makes a good house plant as well. Well, I've come down the plot and it's been pissing down. It's really bad, but it hasn't stopped me. Change of clothes later. What I've done is laid down, put some more. We've had a delivery of wood chip, so there was 2 barrow worth left. So I've weeded 3 paths, and then weeded 3 paths, and then laid down an inch of wood chip. Let me show you that now. This was weedy and now it's wood chipped. This used to be Richard's plot. He kept it in good condition, and I've had it 1 year and it's full of weeds already. But let's maintain it. These beds have been roughly dug. I haven't. You might be asking yourself, lazy bugger, why haven't you raked it off? Well, I want it in great big lumps, because otherwise, if it's flat, it will get both rain and sun in April and May, and then it just goes hard as concrete. So it's all rough. I'll rake it in late March or April, something like that. So I was seeking shelter in one of the greenhouses. So I may as well do some work in the greenhouses, try and stay a little bit dry. So next I've got I overwintered some leaves I know are quite hardy. Again, a lot of the things I do is inspired by Charles Dowding. He is the king of organic gardening, in my opinion. Backyard gardening anyway. But as you can see, I do dig, but I do everything else his way. I plant when he plants. I watch out for his first video that says, "Oh, I'm sowing seeds," and I do that way. I lay compost on top rather than digging it in, and I do. He's a big influence. But I do dig. A lot of you'll see on YouTube a lot of allotment people just fall to bits in July when the bindweed just smothers everything. So it's for that reason that I do digging, and not just that. There's other influences on me. For example, what's his name? The veganic farmer, Tolhurst, Ian Tolhurst. He's put a book out, Growing Green or something like that. I can't remember what it is, but he does a zero input, closed loop system of farming, and sort of 50 acres, something like that. I don't know what he's got, but it's by using green manures and no other inputs apart from that seed. He produces year after year after year good. He and his partners, year after year after year, good quality vegetables without inputs. Whereas Charles brings in sort of 3, 4, 5 square meters. I don't know, something like that. for his garden, of compost for his garden. Though he does it himself, but the inputs is, even though it's waste, it's somebody's waste. It's still very well. Closed loop gardening I'm particularly interested in. Is it more from a sort of like interesting sort of like engineering thing more than anything else, but yeah. So where was I? Why was I talking about Charles Dowding? Yes, so it's his Charles Dowding. He does in his books, he'll show you how to, and his videos, he'll show you what plants are hardy over winter, and you can, so for example, parsley, coriander with a little bit of protection's hardy, spring onions, all sorts of stuff, chicory, spinach. So I've overwintered some of those plants in the greenhouse at home. I've brought them up to put in the polytunnel, so we'll do that next. So I'm going to put these this copper ring around two of the coriander, so that I can demonstrate to you. Let's see if we can get these buggers out. So we can demonstrate whether or not it works or not. It's a bit tight because of the spacing of the pattern. But anyway, right. Theoretically, the slugs come along, try and climb over to get to my coriander, which they love. They hit the copper and get a little electric shock. Let's test whether or not that assumption is true. So I'm a terrible coriander grower, and it's all that my wife wants to eat. So anyway, we'll put one over here as well. It's not protected. We'll see what happens. Well, that's I can't stand upright in the polytunnel. That's it now. It's still tipping down. There's not much I can do outside without giving myself a chill. I shall see you. I'm going to go off and do a garden centre or something like that. I shall see you next week. And good luck in your own gardening. Ta-ra for now.
See you next week.